Hello and welcome back to Blytheway Business News. Today I'm joined by Tony Manini. Tony is Executive Chairman of Asiamet. Asiamet trades on the AIM market with the ticker of ARS. Tony, you've had some great news out today. Before we get into the news though, for viewers who might be new to Asiamet, can you give us a quick overview please of the company?
Yeah, thanks Tim. So Asiamet is a copper explorer developer. We have one of the very few development-ready copper projects in the Asia Pacific, directly adjacent to the key consuming markets there in that growing Asian region. We're in Indonesia, 2 projects. One of those projects is in Kalimantan, the BKM project. It's had a full feasibility study completed on the project for a 25,000 tonnes per annum heap leach SXEW, solvent extraction electrowinning process to produce bright, shiny 1 metre squared copper cathodes. We are currently in the final stages of permitting that project for development, doing enhancement value engineering work and moving the project into the project funding stage. So that's the BKM project. We also have another very large copper gold porphyry project on the north end of Sumatra Island in Aceh. It's an extensively drilled copper porphyry. We've done 35,000 kilometres of 35 kilometres drilling there. We have an over 500 million tonne JORC compliant copper gold resource. So large project. 60 kilometres from the coast next to a bitumen road. We have all the infrastructure nearby, 220 megawatts of coal-fired power and a port shipping coal into the Asian region. So one of the very few large copper development projects with excellent access to infrastructure right next door to the key consuming markets in Asia. So it's really a copper story. It's a copper near-term development with a large growth profile.
Thanks, Tony. So copper very much in demand at the moment, both from electric vehicles and, of course, as China starts to construct again and reboot its economy. If you're going to build buildings, you need wiring. For the wiring, you're going to need copper. So you're clearly in a commodity which is going to be in huge demand in the years going forward. But you've just released this, let's call it transformational news, a transaction which you've brought in. Talk us through the transaction and what it does for Asiamet.
Yeah, sure, Tim. So, look, as I mentioned just in the introduction, we completed the feasibility study it's a little over a year ago, mid last year on the BKM project in Kalimantan. Since then, as I said, we've been doing the permitting work for construction, value enhancement, engineering work, and we've been working on finding a strategic funding partner to take that project into development. That has always been our plan. We've been working to that plan over a 5-year period. What we've announced today is part of that long-term strategy. So we have announced heads of agreement with Eternum Energy International. Eternum Energy is a commodities trading company out of Singapore. We will sell the KSK contract of work, which holds the BKM copper development project, into an Indonesian private company, which is wholly owned by Eternum Energy. And we will sell the project in its entirety for a valuation circa $163 million US. So a very substantial transaction for the company. The PT Win, which is the private Indonesian company, as I said, wholly owned by Eternum Energy, will acquire both Eternum Energy's commodities trading business, and it will acquire our local subsidiary Indocal, which holds the contract of work there in Indonesia. So it'll make those 2 acquisitions. We'll then progress the PT Win to initial public offering, IPO on the Indonesian Stock Exchange in early 2021. So we're aiming for late in the first quarter, early second quarter 2021. So that's a very significant transaction. As we go forward, the PT Wind's balance sheet and the anticipated proceeds from the IDX listing will provide a strong base for the development of the BKM project. So in terms of the financing and development, and enable that pathway for us to get the BKM copper project built and into operation, producing those bright, shiny copper cathodes. So it's strategically, it's a very important transaction for the company, and really brings a lot of benefits to all stakeholders. So maybe, Tim, I'll just break that down a little bit in terms of, what the $163 million looks like, because it's very important to understand, the mechanics of the entire transaction. So we'll look to execute a sales and purchase agreement in around 30 days' time. So complete all the documentation for that. There's an initial $10 million payment to Asiamet at that time. That's a non-refundable deposit, which essentially becomes a break fee in the event the transaction doesn't progress as planned. When the IPO takes place, there's a $40 million cash payment to Asiamet, $40 million cash payment upon successful conclusion of the IPO. And then there's a third piece to it, which is Asiamet will then retain a 22.5% shareholding in the listed company PT Win. So we maintain a very meaningful stake and exposure to the copper development project at BKM. And there's $50 million coming back to Asiamet prior to that as part of the transaction. I think importantly, there's a couple of other key attributes of the transaction. PT Win will commit $30 million from the IPO proceeds for the development of BKM. So that's a critical component to take the project into the funding stage and development. And the PT Win has also got the option; it can put 100% cash offer to us at any time prior to the IPO, or a short fixed period thereafter. So, it is a company transforming transaction, and, one that, it's taken a lot of time and effort for us to put together, Tim.
So let me just, for the benefit of the viewers, try and boil this down to the headlines. You've got cash coming into Asiamet over the period of what is it, $50 million?
Yeah, that's correct. So $10 million coming in on signing of the binding sales and purchase agreement, which we expect to be in around 30 days from now. And then $40 million on IPO late in the first quarter, early second quarter next year. So $50 million into Asiamet, correct.
$50 million coming into Asiamet. And then you're going to retain a stake of some 22% in the company which will be listed in Indonesia. Can you give viewers any sense of the valuation of that, the listed vehicle?
Yeah, so we have undertaken, part of the process has been engaging independent valuers to value both the Eternum Energy trading business and our own BKM project and the wider KSK contract of work. The total valuation there is circa $500 million. So $400 million is the valuation of the AE trading business, and a bit over $105 million of our business.
So you're going to have just over 20% of a business which at this stage is valued at roughly $500 million. And your market cap at Asiamet, Tony, please remind me, what are you approximately?
So our current market cap, we're £37 million, so circa 47 million US dollar company, as in regards of our market cap, yes.
So all this moving forward, well, I don't want to overuse the word, but this does sound transformational for Asiamet. Let's just move it forward. The transaction, hopefully, good luck, will progress. You'll see the IPO in Indonesia. You'll then be left with obviously the stake in the new business, but then other assets within Asiamet. What's the short-term plan for those other assets?
Yeah, so Tim, maybe I'll just sort of break it down a little bit as to the focus for the business as we move forward. So in the short to medium term, we, as in the Asiamet management team, will continue to manage and operate the BKM project, and we will do that for a transitional period under a management services agreement with PT Win, the listed company. So, obviously we've got, 22.5% stake in, a very valuable business, and, we want to ensure that business progresses along the development path as rapidly as it possibly can. And obviously this transaction will enable that to, that process to unfold from here. We also, as I mentioned, have the Butong project. So the Butong project, it's a large, as I said, it's a over 500 million tonne copper porphyry project. It has a very large target sitting underneath it, which needs to be drilled. And we haven't had a lot of capacity to do much work on the Butong project over the past few years. All our resources have very much gone into the BKM feasibility study and the work associated with the development of that project. So we'll increase our focus on Butong. We'll look to start to potentially do some additional drilling, subject to being able to do that with all the interruptions that we've got around COVID at the moment. There is some value enhancement sort of study work that we can do. And, we'll also look to progress discussions with potential joint venture or development partners on that project. It's a very large project. It has the potential to be, 3 times the size of the BKM copper project. So it's a very large project, requires a substantial amount of capital to take it through full feasibility and get it ready for production. So, we'll move to our focus to unlocking that very substantial value that we believe lies there at Butong. I mean, it's one of the very rare large copper projects which has got almost all the infrastructure nearby or in place and is on the key, is on the doorstep of the key consumer markets. So value to be unlocked there. We just talked about the market cap of the company. We think there's very little in the company for that project. So we're going to look to daylight some of that value. And then, of course, we'll be in we'll have a much stronger balance sheet, and we'll be in a position to start to look at, business development opportunities to create additional, value for the business. We'll focus on copper gold. We may or may not look at, we'll look at opportunities in Indonesia, we'll look at opportunities elsewhere, and we'll look across the spectrum of maturities where we can see, a very prospective early stage exploration project. We'll look at that, but look at things which are development ready and potentially, things that are already in production. So, we think this is, it's transformative in many ways, Tim. It not only enables the development of BKM for the benefit of all stakeholders, and we retain a 22.5% stake in that, but it also enables, it brings a substantial amount of money into Asiamet, strengthens the balance sheet, and enables us to continue, growing a substantial business, which has always been our strategy.
Tony, thank you for joining us today. That was Tony Manini, Executive Chairman of Asiamet, updating us on the transactions the company is carrying out with the BKM asset and what will result in them having a 22.5% stake in a business valued around $500 million. Exciting times ahead for copper miner Asiamet. That's all for today from Blytheway Business News. Thank you for watching.